Governor Ron DeSantis is vetoing a bill on electric bicycles and other small transportation devices. The proposed bill would have banned e-bikes and other small transportation devices from going more than 10 miles per hour when within 50 feet of a pedestrian. It also would have set up a micro-mobility device safety task force with no sunset date and broad power to recommend new rules. In his veto message, the governor says his decision stems from the possibility that the bill could lead to more local surveillance and limitless regulations.